Hi guys, welcome to my top 5 PS2 gaming video. I've picked a good selection, I think, out of such a massive library. I think it's about 12 or 1300 games. It's something ridiculous. I mean, the amount of games that came out back in the day for this are just I think there's even still titles coming out to this day, so there's a bloody good few to choose from. Now, of course, these are my personal choices. I'm sure you may disagree with some of them, and there's going to be stuff that appeals to you and you're like, oh god, why have you included that in the list? Stick them in the comments below. I always love chatting about stuff like that, especially if it's games I might not have actually played, again, because that gaming library is so huge, and I wouldn't actually mind going back to play some of them if you think they're better than what I picked. But yeah, let's jump straight in. Alright, let's start off with number 5. And it should be no real surprise that a Grand Theft Auto or a GTA game would end up in this, but at number 5 it has to be GTA Vice City. Now, at the time, and there's a bit of an argument which is better, number 3 or Vice City, because it's not, Vice City is a spin-off, it's not GTA 4. But for me, I played 2 versions of this. The first was the PS2, which introduced me to it. I mean, the whole 80s world, the Scarface style story and building up your crime empire, and it's all based in the 80s, with the beachfronts, the seas, the city, the sand. I mean, going back to it now, it's a lot more basic obviously compared to the newer stuff, but at the time there was nothing else really like this. The humour was great, it had a funny story. Like I say, it was based on the Scarface whole universe in a way. It had lots of nods to it, like things like buying strip clubs and clubs on their own. God, what a weird thing to stick in my mind. Anyway, but yeah, it was an absolutely fantastic title. I loved it to bits. It was slightly better, I think, on the original Xbox. That was mainly because, though, you could play your own music that you saved to the hard drive, and there was nothing like, for me, picking out a few decent 80s, 90s track and then bombing down the beach, trying not to run people over because I was a good driver, listening to tunes firing out over the radio, which you couldn't get in the PS2, but you know, as a GTA game, it's absolutely fantastic. It's still worth going back to this day. I think I played the iPad version recently. It's very clunky on the controls, but it's still a lot of fun and it holds up very well. Moving on, this was a tough one to pick because it's not my sort of game at all. Number 4 is Resident Evil 4. It should be no surprise that's up there because it's probably one of the best better games for the system. I say it's not really my sort of thing, but just for the fact is it's survival horror mixed with really fun shooters, and it's just so bonkers. In a way, it always reminds me of it's an action adventure version of House of the Dead, you know, that Dreamcast shooting game. But you know, you're running around, there's scary bits in it, there's horrifying bits in it, there's lots of humour, especially I always seem to remember the shopkeeper walking around with his big long leather coat, you want to buy, you know, showing off his wares and goods, and he just kept appearing in the most inappropriate places, very strange in parts, but a bloody good game, and I did go on to play it on because it was a GameCube re-release, I think, a few years later, where they tidied it up a bit and retightened the controls and stuff, and it was even better. But it's a bloody good game. So well, and probably the best in the Resident Evil series. I've not been able to match it since that one came out, so yeah, go give it a whirl. Now going on, number 3 is Metal Gear Solid 2, which is probably have a few of you falling out of your seats there. Why hasn't he gone for 3? Why 2? Now, number 2, sorry, number 3. Number 2, you've got to remember, at the time when this was being released, they were doing all like the sneak peek trailers of the oil refinery in the sea and the oceans and stuff, and then you had the Hans Zimmer whatever music playing in the background. And then you had the bit where they released the early level in the ship tanker mission where you play as Snake, and then they would do a whole teasing section. And you think, God, this is going to be amazing. This is Metal Gear Solid 1 on the PS2, but all done up. It's what you wanted. It's an awesome stealth game, and they tease you with that amazing demo with like things like watching ice cubes melting in the glass, being able to destroy anything in the backgrounds and stuff, and the way you could play with bodies and all the weapons and the sneaking abilities, and again back to that awesome music, and that trailer where he dive bombs off the bridge at the beginning to land on the ship. and you know the blankets flapping in the wind and stuff. It was fantastic, and the rain. You'd never seen anything like it. And looking back now, it doesn't look anything special, but it was almost like a movie in a game. It was bizarre, and yes, they had the big reveal, and then you don't play a snake, it all drops away, and you're that terrible riding character. But I mean, it was done on purpose for a stupid reason, which he made up for in the third one. But it just always sticks out in my mind. I was obsessed with it. I'd play it to death so many times. And then when I keep going over mainly that tanker mission, because I played that to death as a demo, and then again when I got it as an original game. And then when he brought out the third one, and he went back to its roots, and it went all back to Metal Gear Solid. To me, it wasn't as exciting. That sounds strange, doesn't it? The second one was at the time was something new. It was something very different. It was a breath of fresh air, and my God, this is what games are going to be. And then it just sort of teeters off as you play it. I was obsessed with it. I even bought the Xbox version, which I loved to bits. But anyway, yeah. I don't want to get too carried. This isn't a Metal Gear Solid 2 video. But moving on, number 2. It's probably no surprise, but it has to be Shadow of the Colossus. You might wonder why didn't I pick Ico over this? Just because SOC is just it's beautiful. I don't know what else to say about it. It's just straight away the way you can get it. There's no real adventure because there's no talking. You're just exploring this whole world. You can't understand the language and stuff. It just because there's no one to talk to. It's not like there's NPCs or villagers or anything beyond the odd cutscene here and there, and it just drops you in this gorgeous abandoned world, and you get to go around ruins and see stuff, and then you see that bit where you spend some time climbing over a cliff, and you drop down and you bump into that first Colossus, and then you realise that this is something special. And then as the game advances, you meet each Colossus, and you have to tackle it a certain way. In particular, I really enjoyed the one that was flying, where you had to run after it and then jump up and get on its back to take it down. And then the one with the big hammer or weapon, which attacks you, and then you have to dodge out of the way and then jump on it and then run up the length of this weapon to get on its back. Brilliant. It's just amazing. I never played anything. I still haven't played anything like it to this day. So yeah, definitely worth going in on a top 5. But now you must be thinking, well, what has he picked as number 1? Well, I'm going to tell you. It's Persona 3 FES, which is the school edition. Where to start this? I mean, this is one of my all-time favourite RPGs. A lot of people would argue about its sequel number 4 because that did improve a lot of things. But no, the thing with number 3 at number 1 is the whole. It was a typical Japanese high school Japanese RPG in a way, and it doesn't seem to start off anything special until when you're watching the first video on this. The music is just something else for this game. I've still got it on my iPod to this day, but the music kicks in, and he pulls a gun out, the main character, and just shoots himself in the head, and you just sit there and it's like, what? It was just like, what? And then his persona takes over, and I suppose it's a bit like a summoned weapon in a way, and then it does the fights and stuff, and then every character has to do the same, and you get taken on this tale of this character survive. You've got a year to live through this whole high school situation, and it all develops. And I don't want to ruin the story, so I'm being a bit cagey. And you meet all these different characters. But the great thing is, it's when voice acting was really starting to become a proper thing, and they weren't just using cheap ass people, just to fill these roles. They were really looking into it properly, and they got all these proper anime narrators and voice actors and actresses, and they were absolutely fantastic. And it's one of them. Usually with a Japanese game like that, you think, well, I'll leave the subtitles on because it always sounds, even though I can't understand it, you think it always sounds better with the Japanese voices. But the American voices is just because they went for the proper actors and actresses. It sounds absolutely fantastic. So it's well worth picking up. The battle system's a lot of fun. It has 100 randomly generated dungeons, which is it works a lot better than it sounds, because each one is quite fun. You play it until the next morning comes, but the main meat of the game is where you're living through this kid's high school life and meeting all of his friends and going on dates and going out and getting involved in stuff and concerts and after school clubs and stuff. It sounds just real bonkers, but at the time it was just so involving and I was so obsessed with it. I was just obsessed with the next one after, but this one is the first time I played anything like to that degree in an RPG, and it just blew me away. But yeah, that's my top 5 PS2 games. I think I've not done anything too exciting there. I suppose Vice City might be a bit of an odd choice to a lot of people, but again, it's just something that was in my experience of PS2 games, so I went for them. Yeah. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Please rate, comment, and subscribe below.